Take a breath. As we just ground ourselves here and right now in this moment, enjoying the music that we've heard, the prayers that we've heard, opening our hearts to this time. And so we have been exploring this book called Living Originally by Robert Brumet, who happens to be a Unity minister. And in this book, he has described 5 core practices to improve our lives, to transform our lives. And we remember that living originally means living from our origin, living from the core of who we are, however we define that. You might call it God, Spirit, universal life, universal love, all that is. Living from that space, coming from that space, is what these 5 core practices that he describes for us will help us achieve in a greater way. And those 5 core practices are radical self-awareness, deep self-acceptance, unlimited forgiveness, universal benevolence, and compassionate communication. So the first week we looked at this radical self-awareness. And we touched on the knowing that we are conditioned by our outside world. We're conditioned by a lot of things in our outside world. Our families, our communities, our society, our religion, where we live, the news, conversations we hear, podcasts. We're impacted by these gravity, all these things in this human condition. And understanding that we want to live in a greater way from our origin versus from the outside world. I think Coy's got a slide for us to look at again this morning that we looked at that first week. This was created by Charles Fillmore, co-founder of the Unity movement. He calls it our psyche. So we've got this external world out here that I was just describing, where all of this stuff happens. Then we have our conscious mind, where we're aware of how we feel. We're aware of what we're thinking. We're also aware that I'm me and you are you, and that we're separate beings. We learned that around the age of 2, and we're still kind of learning that. And then we have our subconscious mind. And the way I think of the subconscious mind is one of 2 ways. One is just a filing cabinet, and it's full of all these index cards that we have planted in there with information from the outside world. Some of it very true, very accurate, good for us, and much of it false. Much of it false. Or you can think of that subconscious mind as a distorted mirror. It's a little maybe cracked, it's glossy, it's not giving you a full picture. And all it's doing is reflecting back what you have fed it, or what the world has fed it, or what your family has fed it. And most of us, me included, spend a lot of our time living in that cycle, responding and reacting from that. And there's another way. There's a radical way. And that is to be aware that we are connected, we are one with divine mind. And how you may hold that may be here, or you may see it here. This shows it behind our mind. That we always have the ability to tap into that Godness, that all that is, that universal life, universal love, universal light. It is there, and we know that. Because when we enter into mindfulness and prayer and meditation, we feel it, don't we? And we feel those nudges and those hints and that inspiration when we spend time in the silence. So we know it's there. And we have the choice. We have the choice to make a decision, to analyze, why am I feeling this way? Oh, I'm coming from all the heavy earthly planet stuff. And that I have a choice to come from the divine mind. So that was the first week. Thank you, Coy. Then last week we looked at deep self-acceptance. And that was kind of in 2 parts. The first was to recognize that we are worthy. We've always been worthy. That will always be so. We are born blessed. And that we may take on different roles, different jobs, different identities through our family, through our jobs, even through our church, and that we are so much more than that. Those things do not define us, that we are absolutely worthy. And when we recognize that, as the Buddhist would say, everyone has a pure heart. Everyone has a pure heart. We say we have the divine within. There might be some stuff on top of it, but everyone has a pure heart. Then we walk taller. Our shoulders are back. We feel like we're breathing more fully. And then we can step into any situation. That's part of the absolute deep self-acceptance. We can accept any situation without the need to change it, to judge it, to condemn it, to manipulate it, to do anything with it other than to be. That does not mean that there may be some ethical steps you want to take beyond that, but in any present moment, we do not have to be reactionary, regardless of what is happening. That's part of the deep self-acceptance. And in my mind, if we set the intention, and we have, set the intention to master these first two, or to practice these first two, what naturally falls into place or rises into place is this next core practice, and that is unlimited forgiveness. When we're already aware that we are worthy, when we're already aware that we can decide if we're coming from divine mind or from the ego, and the ego's not bad, it protects us, but boy, it really wants to be in charge all the time, and it can overly protect us, then forgiveness comes absolutely naturally. Unlimited forgiveness. Robert Brumet says in his book, in the introduction to this section, that this is both for ourselves and others. Sometimes that unlimited forgiveness needs to be turned inward, doesn't it? We need to forgive ourselves for what we did, didn't do, said, didn't say, all those things. Remember, they do not define us. He then goes on to say, and we're going to return to this, forgiveness can be seen as having two phases. The first phase involves the decision, the recognition. I have something to forgive. I'm upset with someone, or I'm upset with myself. It's the recognition and the willingness. And then the second phase is about healing. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. That the two are absolutely related. So there's a Zen story about two monks, it's a well-known story, who were making their way. They came up to a river. Now, they had been to this river before. You could cross it. It was dangerous, but it was possible. And standing there on the one bank was a young girl, a girl who wanted to cross the river, but she was afraid. Now, the monks took a vow that they would not touch a woman. They were both fully aware of that vow. So as they got to the river, the first monk crossed the river without acknowledging, saying anything to the girl, crossed the river. The second monk took a moment, spoke to her, received her permission, picked her up, carried her across the river, put her down, and she went on her way. Well, the two companions walked in silence for about an hour. And then the first monk just couldn't take it anymore. He said, "How could you do that?" And he started berating and condemning the second monk. "You know we're not supposed to touch a female, and I just can't believe you did that." And he went on and on and on. And finally, the second monk said, "I placed her down on the bank. You've been carrying her for an hour." What are we carrying? What are we carrying that we don't need to? What are we carrying in the way of unforgiveness towards others or ourselves that does not belong? We either feel someone has wronged us, or we feel just shamed on how we've behaved at some moment. We can't forgive ourselves for words that were spoken. How long are we going to carry that? How long? And so the second phase of this forgiveness is healing. And this is something I will admit that we've not really touched upon a lot when we've done forgiveness work here, when we've looked at spiritual tools for forgiveness. And what Robert says is forgiveness may involve feeling some underlying hurt or sadness as part of the healing process. Because we remember that feelings rarely make sense. They rarely make sense. They are not logical because it's not in our nature to be logical. Remember, we're both human and divine. And he suggests these 7 steps. So this is 2 parts love work today. He suggests 7 steps to forgiveness. First is to see the need for it, to recognize it. Again, towards hard feelings you're harboring towards another, or some feelings of condemnation you're feeling towards yourself. 2, be willing to forgive. Okay? Because we're not always there yet. It's a choice. It's always a choice. The third one is just critical. Ask your higher power, whatever that is, for help. Because our ego doesn't want to forgive. Our ego wants us to be angry. Our ego wants to feel justified in whatever happened. That's where that strength comes. So the more upset we are, the happier the ego is. The ego does not want to forgive. So ask your higher power for help. And then this is key. Give up the condemnation. Be willing to give it up. I know that sounds so easy. Oh, just give up condemnation. Be willing to give it up. Be willing to recognize it in yourself when it comes up as you're working through this process. And the 5th step is to face and feel any underlying pain. Remember, it's 2 parts. Willingness to forgive and recognizing that there may be some stuff stirred up in us, like, why did I get so upset about that? Oh, yeah, I heard this, or this is a message I gave when I was younger, and that's why I responded that way. And so be willing to look at that and not to just gloss it over. Remember we talk about the beach ball at the ocean? You can hold it down for a while, but until you heal it, it's just going to pop up over there with a lot more strength, sideways, when you least expect it. And so to heal, maybe you need to journal, or meditate, or see your counselor, or have a group that you can go to, or a good friend that you can talk to about something that's come up within you to work through it. Maybe you draw, whatever you do, whatever is your practice, and to know that truth, to know that you can turn to your higher power. That's number 6, to do those things, to turn to the higher power. And the 7th step is to repeat 2 through 6 as often as you can. We have so many forgiveness practices in our spiritual toolbox. And that's wonderful. We have to use them often. And I invite you, anytime you're feeling just icky or off or frustrated or things are just not working out, or all of a sudden your finances don't seem to stretch as far as they had been, pause and ask yourself, who have you not forgiven? Who or what have you not forgiven? And then to ask yourself if you're willing. If you're willing to use some of these forgiveness practices to release the woman by the side of the bank. Put her down and let it go. And this leads so naturally into universal benevolence. Universal benevolence. Benevolence is simply that disposition of goodwill and kindness. And that's really easy with our friends, isn't it? Goodwill, kindness, oh, absolutely. Not so much with others, perhaps. And Robert looks at benevolence in 3 ways. So this is part of your love work from today also. It is appreciation. That's the first step, appreciation. Start each day with the intention to be aware of what has value for you, what has value for you, and then either say it out loud or to yourself, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. The second step, kindness. Start each day with the intention to be kind at every opportunity. Throughout your day, be open to opportunities to express kindness through word or action. How can I express kindness today? Set that as your intention in the morning. Write it on your mirror. And then the third one is generosity. Start each day with a willingness to give at every opportunity. Be open to all the opportunities that will arrive, will be placed before you, to be generous-hearted. There's one more thing I wanted to share about that. There you go. Remember that this practice is for us. It's for you. This is a spiritual practice. If you choose to work on these core practices, this is a spiritual practice that will enhance your life. It will enhance your peace and your harmony. The added benefit is that it also blesses our world. And I know that you do. And I honor you for all the work that you do. And know that I'm right there beside you with my spiritual toolbox, using my tools. I bless you this day. We're going to move into our time of meditation. Allow yourself to get comfortable where you are. Relax into the seat beneath you. Raise your shoulders just a little bit. Lift up your chin. Open up that heart space. If you're comfortable closing your eyes, do that. If not, gaze at something softly before you. As I invite you to allow this music to impress upon your heart.
So blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
As we continue to move into this time, allow the words that I speak to be the words of your own heart. And anything that doesn't fit for you today, simply allow it to fall away. Embrace what your heart is yearning to hear, and let anything else go. I am so blessed. I am. And as I sit here in this sanctuary, or wherever I may be at this time, I am aware of all the ways that my life is blessed. So many ways I can not even name them all. My life is not only blessed, but I can be a blessing. The divine within me, my pure heart, wants to bless every moment of every day. For within me is that divine love and light, that divine wisdom, power and zeal, that imagination, that strength. And I have the desire within me to live a life filled with more peace and harmony, more love. I am willing to forgive myself and others. I am willing to be benevolent, to appreciate, to be kind, to be generous-hearted. And I can begin with my circle of friends, those near and dear to me. And I envision them now. I envision them now in a beautiful circle. And I send love to them. And then I hold the intention throughout this week to add more to this circle, to expand those that I am appreciating and giving my kindness to and my generosity. I expand that circle to the extent that I am able. And in this way, I know that I am blessing my world with my love, with my light, with my truth. For I am unique. I am divine. I am love. Rest in these words in the silence. If you haven't already done so, you can open your eyes now as we breathe and allow that to settle into our very being. That was so lovely. Thank you, music team.